What I was calling you about today was this Chavez Jr. situation. I've never seen a fine so high. Like, is it because recent past events, or is
well, it's a percentage basis. So most of the guys we have been catching, they're making $10,000, maybe maybe $100 at best. So yeah, he's the first guy we've caught in the last decade making 7 figures, let alone $3 million. So it's just that's the only reason it looks so high.
We've seen other athletes that get caught with like steroids or antibiotic, and their fines were not as high as.
Well, percentage-wise they were, but yeah, not overall they weren't.
Oh, okay. So it's a percentage base, and it wasn't based on past.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm sure he may have gotten a little less fine had it been his first offense. So I'm sure the prior played into it. The prior offense played into it. The fact that he lied on his pre-fight medical questionnaire probably may have played into it, because he didn't list the marijuana, though he said he stopped 8 days before. We asked list everything you've taken the last 15 days, but nonetheless, it was still. I mean, you look at the other way. He got to keep 70% of his money.
Yeah.
Of course, they take everything. Like any track and field, they take everything.
Oh wow!
That would have been a $3 billion fine.
Oh wow! Yeah, I think that would have been substantially damaging to him if he'd have lost his entire purse. But is there a difference though? It's all the same if it's like steroids or if it's like marijuana?
No. If it's steroids, first off, if it had been steroids, he would have been suspended for a year, as opposed to 9 months. So he got a little break there because it was marijuana instead of steroids. And marijuana usually has a lesser penalty. For like the first offense, let's assume you have no priors. If it was first offense for marijuana, he would have got 6 months. So he got an extra 3 months because of the prior for diuretic. But had his second offense been for a diuretic or even a steroid, you would have seen 12 months. You wouldn't have seen 9 months. So the prior hurt him just as much, but the current one wasn't as bad. So again, first offense for marijuana, you see 6 months. First offense for steroids, you see 9 months. Had this been a second offense for a diuretic, you would have seen 12 months. But because it was his first offense for marijuana, as opposed to a second offense for the same drug, you would have seen 12 months.
Oh, okay. So, so for this policy here, is there like, say if he goes to a program, like a drug rehabilitation program, is there any way he could like reduce his sentence?
We've never had that, so I don't know. That's a good question. Yeah, I mean, sometimes in court cases, guys will come in, hey, I went to rehab, and I'm in a rehab program now, give me a little break. We've never faced that, so it's a possibility. But I don't know if that's something that comes into play for relicensure as opposed to current penalty. Okay.
All right. Since the Mickey Bay situation, is there I know you guys had a preliminary hearing to give him a
temporary suspension. He should be on our next agenda, which is the 20th of this month, but that's up to him. His attorney has asked for an extension to the 18th to file an answer, so he may or may not be on the 20th agenda. But there's a violation, if they found him guilty, or in the past when they found somebody guilty of that, you're talking a 9-month suspension for the first offense, as opposed to a 6-month suspension as you would have for, say, marijuana.
Oh, okay. All right. So, is there any way that like the CIR testing is? Because I know you said before, like it's too expensive right now. Was there any way, like you could see in the immediate future, they're going to do more like HGH testing or anything of the sort? Or you guys are going to still use like a third-party source like VADA or USADA?
Yeah, if you look at what we were doing, say, even 2 years ago, let alone 10 years ago, we're testing everybody. Before we used to test a lot less. We're doing more tests, and we're doing out-of-competition tests as the budget allows, and things like that. So you're always looking to do, we've shown historically, especially since I took over, a increase in the amount of testing being done, both in competition as well as out of competition. So I think you'll continue to see that. Where it goes exactly, I don't know. obviously there's limits. I mean, no drug testing agency tests everybody every day for everything. So there's always a limit, but where it goes, I don't know. But yeah, we can't test more people than we already do in competition because we test 100% of the people. So it's just a matter of can you get better tests or more out of competition tests.
Okay, so will there be like any random testing done by you guys at all in the immediate future?
We will continue to do that. Yep.
Oh, okay. So I like that. Random testing is.
Yeah. I mean, I know I tested as far as boxing goes. We do MMA stuff too, but boxing we did that with Mayweather and Cotto before their fight last year. So yeah, if you see us testing guys like Mayweather and Cotto, I'm not sure you hear people on less honest people than us say things like, "Oh, the commission they're afraid to test people. They don't want to catch people." It's like, okay, I tested Mayweather and Cotto a month out before their big fight here, and if either one had failed, that fight would have been canceled. So who are we afraid to test again? I've tested Pacquiao in the past. I've tested Brock Lesnar, Randy Couture, Tito Ortiz, big names in the MMA world. So it's kind of
right. And that's not through you. That's not because of USADA. That's because of you guys.
Right. Yeah. We're doing that. Okay. Doing that. Yeah. I mean, yeah. And again, the more testing, the better. If athletes want to do their own tests as well, be it USADA, be it VADA, be it some other, go to the labs themselves and do it. More power to you.
But okay, well at least you guys are doing random testing. I didn't know you guys were doing it.
Oh yeah. I think probably since 2008. I think maybe 2009, somewhere around there, around 2008, give or take a year. But unfortunately, we don't have a huge budget for it. We don't charge the athletes arm and a leg like the private testing labs do. We try to cover it ourselves, and because these fighters, obviously, some guys have much more money than other guys, but some guys don't. And I'm not one to say, hey, let's just test the guys at the top of the card and ignore the guys in the middle and the bottom of the card. I mean, guys at the bottom of the card deserve to have a clean opponent as do the guys at the top of the card. So we mix it up. We test. Sometimes, I mentioned the big names we test. We've also tested guys who are on lower on the card in the random out of competition testing as well. Actually, one UFC we picked, I think they had 9 fights. So we basically tested the first fight, the third fight, the fifth fight, the seventh fight, and then the main event, which was Lesnar and Couture, I think. So we kind of did every odd number of fights. So that you had the first fight guys getting tested as well as the last guys getting tested.
Oh, okay.
You can't do that every card or even many cards because that's a lot of money. having 10 tests is a lot of money. So having 10 different guys being tested is a lot of money. If VADA doesn't do that, USADA doesn't do that.
Right.
They test 2 to 4 guys per card. I test 20 to 30 guys per card. Well, not 30, but at most we've tested 24 guys on one card. If it's a 12-fight card, of course, so you're talking anywhere from 5-fight card, you're talking 10 guys, 11-fight card, you're talking 22, 12-fight card, 24 guys. So I'm testing anywhere from 10 to 24. That's a lot different than testing 2 or 4 guys.
Oh, okay.
Well, money-wise, of course.
And now these are not like only at the fights, right? Your random testing.
Right. Well, yeah, exactly. The fight night test is everybody. That's in competition testing. That's everybody. That's what Chavez and Bay got caught with. The random tests, those are just for the PEDs and the diuretics, things that are both in and out of competition. And those are done, very, very random. Sometimes no one gets tested. Sometimes 10 guys get tested. Those we pay for ourselves. The fight night test we charge the promoter because they're getting the benefit of having the fight. But it's hard to charge the promoter for a fight, a guy getting tested 6 weeks out because he may never fight. He may get injured. He may fail a test. So we don't want to charge the promoter because he may not get a benefit from it, or they may not benefit from it. And then as far as the fighter goes, it's kind of tough. It might be easy for Floyd Mayweather to pay for competition testing, but it might be hard for a 4-rounder or a 6-rounder to pay for it. Even some champions, as you know, in boxing, don't make a lot of money. People might be shocked at how little some of these champions get paid. So it makes it tough. But we want to, like I said, we want to do it. We want to mix it up. Sometimes top of the card, sometimes the middle of the card, sometimes the bottom of the card. Mix it up and hopefully have a better deterrent effect.
Right, and you've been doing this random test since 2008. So I'm quite sure you had Mayweather's last, 3 or 4 fights. Has he ever had a positive test? Because, you hear these rumors come up.
No, the only positive test we ever had on the out of competition testing was Ellis Overeem from the UFC. That was the only one we've had. But yeah, I mean, actually, I tested Floyd and Manny both at the end of 2009, if my math is right, and my memory is right, when they were thinking about, there was a very good chance they were going to fight in early 2010. That was probably the closest they ever got.
Yeah.
And I had both guys tested. It's like, hey, you know what? Either guy fails, this fight's off. The biggest fight in the history of boxing will be off, but so be it. They both came back clean. Of course, they didn't make the event for other reasons. But again, it's like, okay, guys, if we're why are you out there lying that we don't want to catch people or we're afraid to test people when I tested the two biggest names in the sport just before what we thought was going to be the biggest fight in the history of the sport? I mean, it just gets very bewildering at times. I know you're trying to help your buddy make money with his drug testing company, but not lying about the Nevada Commission is not the way to go about it. It's too bad, but anyway, they were clean, but they couldn't reach agreements on other things, and now, of course, I'm not sure if the window has now closed, but so be it.
Right, but I'm glad. See, now the public get to hear you actually go out and answer all the questions that everyone just throws up on social media, and they act like everyone's avoiding the questions, but it's really like
not a hard guy to reach, as you know. And I've given explanations before, and it just a lot of people on the subject either have money to be made with their own private organizations, be it USADA or VADA or some other laboratory that they're affiliated with or their friends are affiliated with. And I understand that. Look, hey, you have to market yourself and try to get people. We don't have to do that. You come to Nevada, I don't need to convince you to let me drug test you. You're getting drug tested, you're not fighting here. So I have it easier than them. So I understand they have to have a little bit of salesmanship, and then I don't begrudge them that. Good for them, and the more testing, the better. I appreciate that. But when either they or their allies flat out lie about what this commission or another commission or each other do, it is very, very sad, and it's a very poor leadership with both those groups to either do that themselves or allow that to happen with their allies. But nonetheless, I don't want to over denigrate them, because I think the testing they do is very important and very good.
All right. Well, thanks again, Keith. I do appreciate it again. You've been more than enough help for me.